Warm welcome to our speaker, Shweta Shroff, to all my senior colleagues, there are too many to be mentioned, and especially to all the participants. A special thanks to Shweta for graciously agreeing to be the resource person, especially by the time this webinar will be over, it will be almost midnight in her time zone. Open educational resources, as we know, are teaching learning resources, which are useful both for our users and for the faculty. They are extremely important since they help not only to support education, but they help us to showcase what library professionals can do. The focus in education is now shifting from teaching to learning. Hence, libraries and library professionals have a crucial role to play. Besides identifying open educational resources, it will be extremely useful if teaching institutions, especially colleges, prepare subject-wise teaching learning packages, which could cover both physical and digital material. Many institutions of higher learning have already done this. Hence, we have requested Dr. Shailesh Yagnik to briefly tell us about developing teaching learning packages, its importance, its need. As you know, ADINET has formed 6 special interest groups for all types of libraries, school, college, etc. Besides these groups, it will be very beneficial if city-wide networks and or subject-wide wise networks are also formed. For example, all commerce colleges, all science colleges, etc. in Gujarat could be covered. This will help us to do meaningful resource sharing, thereby providing more services to our users. It will also help our professionals to interact with each other. Now we need to start a membership drive at ADINET. If you're not a member, please do become a member and also make others members. Also do visit our website and our ADINET YouTube channel. I now request Dr. Meeta Rathod, librarian at the Sarvajanik University and also at the BRCM College in Surat, to please continue. Meeta has been taking a very active part in the Help LIS mission, which is a national body to help COVID patients. Over to you, Meeta. Thank you.
Thank you, Barucha ma'am. Once again, namaskar and good morning to all dear LIS professionals and friends. And as Madam said, once again, ADINET has come up with a very interesting online webinar on open educational resources. So before we start with the Shweta's presentation, prior to that, we would like to invite Dr. Shailesh Yagnik, the Senior Advisor to MIMI Ahmedabad, to speak on the topic, need to prepare teaching and learning packages. So over to you, Dr. Yagnik.
Thank you. Yeah. We call it reading pack. You know, the hybrid library developed, so we need discovery service, and we end with OER, open education resource. So these are the 3 things, you know, but the role of the librarian is to increase the frontiers, that is boundary of librarianship. In other words, the scope of work. This increases the effectiveness, presence, and image of librarianship in academic world. I got this idea when I was referring the course pack developed by Harvard Business School. This is for the teachers to prepare the course and share with the students after a class. But Librarian is supported by various types of sources. So why not a reading pack should be developed for user community for each course? The reading pack is a hybrid collection of all sources, materials, and this goes beyond discovery service. The process it requires, one needs to understand the curriculum properly, closely work with the faculty, find the related materials from the various sources, send the reading pack for faculty approval, and put it on the website of the library for faculty and students. It covers library own resources, that is purchased print and electronic. It covers open access, Creative Commons, and public domain. As Barucha ma'am told me to, present one case. So I have chosen the subject economics because that economics is taught in arts, science, commerce, even in home science also that subject is taught. So I have taken a very broad category. So I'll just share the screen with you to show the things to all of you. Yeah, this is the thing, it requires a lot of hard work, lot of vision. You need to get into the subject in one particular course, how many subtopics are there, everything you need to understand to explain the whole thing. See, it has got 4 columns over here. The source, the topic I have given, like microeconomics policy and analysis, the type of material, and hybrid resources located in KIC or KIC online or public access or open access or OER. So all this, and the locations are given. So for the convenience of the users, when we say it, first we guide to them A to Z, to the summon. That is a discovery service. Okay. Then we give them the books, the cooperative economics, economics of land energy, financial economics, international economics, labor economics, macro, micro, production, public finance. We tell them call number, everything, even shelf, rack, everything. This is normal thing. Everybody does it, but we are putting subject wise, at one place. Then we go to the database. Then what kind of information available in each database? That is a paper. So there are various databases we have over here. So like Euromonitor, Indiastat.com, GStore. Then when we give discovery service, we try to give them the subject also. You are looking for microeconomics, individuals, firms, behaviors. Okay. Then what kind of journals we have in our collection? So EPW, Yojana, economic history, economic theory. Then we try to take them to the magazines, Business India, Business Today, Forbes, Forbes Asia, Fortune International Economist. Then see, this goes beyond the boundary in the sense that now we try to concentrate on the census because this census is very much necessary for the data purpose to the economics. Because if you need the planning, you need to have the economics data. So that is there. Then the CSO, Central Statistical Office, where they talk about the national account statistics, statistical abstract, all those things. Then data portal of the Government of India, then Ministry of Finance, right from the first budget, right from the first economic survey, all data are available for the study purpose. Then the NITI website, then RBI, then we come to the DOAJ part, Directory Open Access Journals, where the economics, the books, even dissertation thesis. Then we come to the OER, Open Education Resources. So this is the way we work. We have developed module for each subject look at it. For each subject, we have developed this, like quantitative techniques, elements of business and finance, individual dynamics, interpersonal group dynamics, macroeconomy, marketing management, urban retail studies. So we need to work very closely with everybody. The advantage is that we increase the presence, we try to optimize the resources, and that makes a lot of difference in the environment of the organization. That's what I would like to say to all of you. Okay? You try to do these things, so you will be familiar with your resources. You will come into the contact of the students community, faculty community. That makes a lot of difference to the profession. Thank you very much. This is what I wanted to highlight.
Thank you, Dr. Yagnik, sir, for educating us how to optimize the resources of our library by giving example of economic subjects. Thank you. I think it will be really useful for our participants. Now, our next speaker of the session, Ms. Shweta Shroff. So it's my pleasure to introduce Shweta Shroff, an old friend and alumni of MS University of Baroda. She'll be speaking on open educational resources. I'll introduce her. She began her career in librarianship from British Library in Ahmedabad, and she also worked with the NR Institute of Business Management and GLS Institute of Computer Technology in Ahmedabad. At present, Shweta is a university librarian of the North American University in Texas, USA. She has 13 plus years of leadership experience in academic and spatial libraries, and overall 16 plus years of experience working in public, academic, and spatial libraries from 2 countries, of course, USA and India. She also possesses the teaching and training experience with undergraduate students, graduate students, and LIS professionals. And academically, she has 2 masters and 1 bachelor's degree in library science, including Master of Library Science from Texas Women's University, USA. Apart from this, Shweta also possesses PG Diploma in Management, PG Diploma in Marketing Management, and a certificate in Project Management. She has to her credit 10 research papers, which has been presented in various national and international conferences, and 4 Best Paper Presentation Awards, among which one is the prestigious
Meta, your audio.
ILA and an international conference. She is an inducted member of the National Society of Leadership and Success since 2019 and has received a Foundation of Leadership certificate from this society, which is the largest leadership honor society of the USA. She has received many scholarships like TWU International Student Scholarship, TWU Competitive Scholarship, Texas Library Association Summer Scholarship, etc. And Shweta's area of interest include information marketing, library advocacy, change management, and utilization of technology for improved information services. So with these few words, I would now like to invite Shweta to enlighten our participants with your presentation. Over to you, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Mitaben, for your kind words and nice introduction. And first of all, I want to thank ADINET for giving me this opportunity to connect with all of you from here. And now the geographical boundaries are no more relevant after COVID. We have learned to connect to each other so nicely. So we take this opportunity. I'll just give me 1 second. I'll try to share my screen with you all. It's stagnant. It doesn't allow me to share my screen. Okay. All right. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's great. I'll maximize. Okay, so as you all know, today's topic is Open Educational Resources, OER, and the outline of today's webinar is basically, I'll first very briefly introduce the concept, then a little bit of history, how it came into existence, and then we'll talk about OER free and open access to get more clarity on all these concepts. Then 5 important R's of OER. We will also see what public domain, open license, and Creative Commons mean, and why actually, there is a tremendous momentum that this concept has gained over last decade. What are the benefits and what are the challenges? We will also look in, very briefly about how to search for OER, how to evaluate OER, where to find OERs, OER initiatives in India. Of course, I'm going to cover a little bit of, worldwide initiatives, and then we will move on to the Indian initiatives. And for those who really want to create OERs, I have compiled a few of the tools that would be useful. So let's begin with the definition of OER. This definition is very popular. It's by William and Flora Howitt Foundation. OER are teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license that permits no cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. So mainly these are teaching, learning, and research material that reside in public domain, or they could be available with open licensing. Because I'm from, I'm representing my university from Texas, we have major movement going on currently here in Texas, and Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, THECB, has taken great initiative and started giving grants to various faculty and teachers and universities that try to create OERs, even to implement OERs into their courses and all that stuff. And the Texas government itself has taken, great initiatives and provide the support to all those who want to create and implement OER. So Texas had a bill passed in its Senate, and the definition given there is open educational resources means a teaching, learning, or research resources that is in the public domain or has been released under an intellectual property license and permits the free use, adaptation, and redistribution of the resources by any person. So this is kind of a common definition, overall definition that was given earlier too. But the extension of this is the term may include full course curricula, course materials, modules, textbooks, media, assessments, software, and any other tools, materials, or techniques, whether digital or otherwise, used to support access to knowledge. So anything, even the webinars, podcasts, presentations, anything that is used for teaching, learning, and research purposes, and which is either in public domain or could be used with some kind of open licensing, everything is covered under OER. Okay, how this concept came into existence? So, of course, it stemmed from the open philosophy. We know open access movement for quite some time now. So in 1994, the term learning object was coined. In 1998, open content phrase came into existence. Then in 2001, the great Creative Commons, very useful open licensing framework that came into existence. Then 2001 was the first, kind of the OER project, Open Courseware project at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which was known as Massive Open Online Courses. That came into existence. They introduced that one. Then in 2002, the term Open Educational Resources was coined by UNESCO. So this is a brief history. UNESCO's international, after 2002, you know, many organizations came forward, and there were a lot of forums and discussions that took place. So as a result, in 2005, the forum discussion resulted in a publication, and the publication was titled Open Educational Resources, Conversations in Cyberspace. That was published in 2009. And in 2011, UNESCO and Commonwealth of Learning, COL, they published guidelines for open educational resources in higher education. And 2012, again, UNESCO and COL carried out a survey on government's open educational resources policies and launched its report in the World OER Congress in Paris. So in 2012, there was this OER Congress in Paris, and UNESCO adopted the 2012 OER Paris Declaration during this conference, or during this OER Congress. And we know that for last 1 decade, there are a lot of things have been happening related to OER. In 2019, UNESCO adopted or updated its definition of OER and created a lot of conversations, you know, in OER community about the impact of this change on the ability to use OERs. So this is a brief kind of this thing. There are a lot of initiatives that have taken place all over the world. But before we go forward, I would like to first clarify certain things. The difference between OER free and open access, or maybe there are similarities too. So the key distinguishing factor is the copyright status of the material. If course content is under a traditional all rights reserved copyright, then it is not an OER. If it resides in the public domain or has been licensed for adaptation and distribution, then it is an OER. So it could still be under copyright, but it should have either in the public domain, or it should have the explicit permission to use that material or reuse or share the material. Then it is OER. So all OER are and always will be free, at least in digital form. Then whether all free resources are OER? No. All free resources are not OER, because free resources may be temporarily free, you know, like special offers given by publishers. And it might, you know, get restricted from use at some point in the future. Or for resources which may not be modified, adapted, or redistributed without express permissions from the copyright holder are not OER. So not all free resources are OER, but in a nutshell, we can say that open or OER sources are free plus permissions. And this includes 5 Rs. So let's see now what are these 5 Rs.
Just a minute, Shweta. Meeta, will you please mute everyone? Thank you. Yes, Shweta.
Yeah, thank you. So we were talking about 5 Rs of OER. They are revise, remix, reuse, retain, and redistribute. So what do they mean? Revise means the right to adapt, adjust, modify, or alter the content itself. You can even translate it into another language, and you don't even have to ask the original creator, because that right is given to the users. Remix, the right to combine the original or revised content with other material to create something new. So if you like 5 chapters of one textbook, and if you like 5 chapters of another textbook, you want to combine them and use it as your course material, you can do that if both of those textbooks are OER textbooks or OER books. Reuse, of course, the right to use the content in a wide range of ways, either in a class, study, or webinars or videos or anything. You can reuse that material the way you want. Retain, that means you can make, own, or control copies of the content. Either you can download, you can duplicate, you can manage, you can store them the way you want. And the last R is redistribute. That gives the right to share copies of the original content, your revisions, or your remixes with others. So you can modify it, you can share it with others the way you want. And these are the 5 Rs that are actually the crux or the soul of OERs. Now, we also talked about public domain, open license, common, Creative Commons. So what are they? I think most of the librarians know about all these things. So public domain is, the work that is not protected by copyright, which means it's free for everyone without any permission. You can use that one. Open license is the original creator clearly informs others how this work can be used by granting permissions to share and adapt this work. So it is clearly given. Like we see copyright symbol and copyright holder's name, or whether it's organization or person in every book, printed book. Open licenses are attached to every OER material, and it explicitly gives permission or gives information about what you can do with that material. Creative Commons, a public domain license, and the variety of open license permissions, and it provides clarity on what you can do and what you cannot do with the material. Okay, these are the licenses. So open licensing does recognize clear ownership of intellectual property, and the work is still protected under copyright law. So by using open licenses, it's not that they are copyright free material. They are actually copyright material, or intellectual property right is always with the creator, but you can use it with the permission that is given to you. And Creative Commons license, this is a website. You can go and study more on Creative Commons, but this is the range, from most open to least open. Most open is the public domain documents, and the least open are the copyrighted documents. And all other Creative Commons licenses are between this public domain and the copyrighted documents. So, because we have a little bit of time constraint, I'll not go into a lot of details, but there are actually 4 conditions for Creative Commons licenses. They're called attribution by, attribution share alike, attribution non-commercial, and no derivatives. And with the combination of these 4 conditions, there are 6 Creative Commons licenses. Okay, they are called CC by, the share alike, non-commercial, and non-derivative, and there are combinations of those 4 conditions over here. Then why OER has become so popular nowadays? Why all educational institutes, whether it's school or colleges or universities or research organization, why they're talking about OERs? First thing, the teaching learning materials over the period of time have become very, very expensive, including textbooks. So the teaching learning community were facing a lot of cost issues, especially here in USA. Everybody talks about the textbook costs, which are very high. Okay, excuse me. So OER gives educators the ability to adapt instructional resources to the individual needs of their students, to ensure that resources are up to date, and to ensure that cost is not a barrier to accessing high quality standards aligned resources. One is the cost factor. One is the flexibility. You can adapt it the way you want according to your need, your students' needs. And it's a high quality because it's developed by the experts, and it is also reviewed by the experts. Educators can tag, rate, and review materials and share what works for them. And the 2 major advantages that people have found from OER are it enhances the access and reach of higher education and lifelong learning, and bringing knowledge and skills, bridging knowledge and skill gaps. And it also provides an effective solution in addressing student barriers to high quality learning materials. But if we break down all this benefits, we can list down a few more in simpler language. They are very useful because they're adaptable, shareable, reusable, editable. So it is easy to use, improve, and share. Equitable access, same opportunities given to all the students. That's not the case with the print textbooks. Some students own the textbooks, some students don't. Some students can afford the textbooks, some students don't. But these are all free. They are available anytime to anywhere. So all students have the equal access. Available anywhere, anytime, yes, if they are in the digital format. Cost effective, absolutely no cost for the users. Of course, you have to invest in your, say, the devices and the Wi-Fi connection and all that stuff. But that in any case, we do. So we don't have to invest extra money to get, use OER material. Quality and authenticity, because it's developed and reviewed by experts. It enhances the learning experience, because they are easily available. You can use the way you want. You can modify them. You can reuse them. Provides a space for collaborative learning, network and collaborate with peers. See, with the online learning, teaching learning for last 1.5 years, we have seen that all the materials that we have in digital format, they're easy to share. So easy to collaborate with. If I want to share a document with you and we want to work on that document together, it's easy with the free documents because we can share, we can reuse, we can remix, different things we can do with that. Helps in peer-to-peer learning. Hence, it helps in professional development. We can learn from each other. We can share that material. I can develop something and share with you, and you can remix something and share with me. And of course, it's a great support to online learning and distance education. That we have seen this tremendous benefits in last 1.5 years. So what are the challenges? Now, all the online material or on OER material, though we say that they are available or equitable access, but are they equally accessible to people with disabilities? Or whether they are developed with keeping the universal design in mind? That's a question. And the web content accessibility guidelines, if all the OERs meet these guidelines, probably not. So creating OERs that are accessible to everyone is a challenge. Is everyone have the training or the skills to develop OERs? Probably not. Imparting the training to everyone, because the teaching learning community is so vast. Providing training to everyone is a challenge. Of course, it has some financial and technical implications. We need to have some finances to support the framework, to support the platforms that we want to host OERs at and all that stuff. Plus, are the people technically competent to do all this stuff? Whether it's a matter of implementing or developing OERs. Excuse me. Quality control is another challenge. Excuse me. So though we say that they are developed by experts, they are reviewed by experts, but we know that skills differ from person to person. So do we have some quality control guidelines for OERs? And different challenges for implementation and development of OERs. Implementation of OER is comparatively easy. We find OER, we see what kind of permissions it provides to us, and then we accordingly we reuse or remix or retain and use it for our course. Or we develop a new OER. Then developing a new OER itself is another challenge. Okay. Now, one challenge is how to search for OER. There are lots and lots of material available. We know that so many things are available in open access format. Are they all OERs? How do we find the proper suitable or appropriate OERs for our courses? So first, for any searches, we know that we need to have our keywords, variety of keywords, combination of keywords. Similarly for OER, we must know what we are looking for. So either it's a discipline, it's a topic, level, material type, anything. So probably if, as Dr. Yagnik just said, microeconomics, macroeconomics. Which level? Undergraduate level, school level, postgraduate level. What material type are you looking for? A textbook? Are you looking for a question bank? Are you looking for a presentation on particular topic on macroeconomics? So what is your need that defines your keywords? Then compile relevant resources. You do searches online and you compile the list of resources. Of course, you cannot use all of them. You will have to evaluate those resources to determine or to decide what resources you want to use for your course. There are certain guidelines. I'll tell you in a bit. And then you decide what you want to do with the OER resources. You want to directly adapt it in your course, or you want to remix it with another resource and use it for your course, or you want to like create a new thing because you didn't find anything that appropriate for your requirement. You know, again, the licenses that are given to OERs, it could be like you find a very good source, but with very limited permissions. You have only the permission to share it with someone, but you cannot modify it, you cannot remix it. Then it's a different scenario. Then you find something, it has all the content that you are looking for, and it is in public domain. So according to the licenses and the appropriateness and the relevance of the material, you rank those resources and accordingly you move forward. It's similar to how we narrow down our searches while doing searches in our databases and or online or anything. We first get the vast, numerous results, and then we gradually add 1 or 2 parameters or limiters, and then we narrow down our search. Similarly, we have to do for OER. Now, these are 2-3 examples that I have shared here. These are some rubrics or checklists to evaluate OERs. Now, main question is where to find OER. Now, there are so much material available online. We know what OER is meant for, and we want to use it for our courses, but where to find them? So there are some initiatives already that have taken place. There are so many repositories that are developed. There are open textbooks, databases or repositories that are available. You can also, when you do Google searches and you find a lot of results, you can also filter them, and you get the results that you can use for commercial use. You can use for remixing and reusing purposes and all that. So Google, I know because I use Google most of the time, but some other search engines also may have this kind of filtering capacities or tools to filter the results. Then examples like MOM, Meson OER Meta Finder. This is the one that searches in 16 OER repositories simultaneously, or OSS that searches in 44 different open content sources simultaneously. These are some of the tools that are already there. Many academic libraries also curate online guides related to OER, and they are available on some universities' libraries website, like Austin Community College has OER library guide, and Library of Congress has audio files and all those stuff. Now, here are some very important websites that I want to share with you that are OER. They have thousands of material available, OER materials available, and they have a very good search facilities. You can limit your sources using different search options given over there. And the main is the Oer Commons. It's a public digital library of open educational resources and a collaboration platform with knowledge management and educational innovation. It provides textbook among other materials types and is an OER repository. This CCC OER is the Community College Consortium for OER. These are the community colleges based in USA. And it promotes the awareness and adoption of OER educational policies, practices, and resources. And if you see on their website, they have a lot of different tabs about OER accessibility, advocacy, you know, OER authorship, OER, so many different things, how to plan for OER, OER research and all that stuff. So this is a very good, very useful website if you want to go through and learn more about OERs. Open Education Global is another initiative. And it's a global member-based non-profit organization supporting and development and use of OER around the world. Oertx, yeah, I saw this Oertx in Dr. Yagnik's list too. This is this is the THECB initiative, Texas Higher Education Board initiative. It's a repository, and it's a public digital library of open educational resources for higher education. OpenStax, I actually saw in Dr. Yagnik's list. OpenStax is the Rice University's initiative, and it's a very, very good and very useful website. They have developed textbooks for so many subjects. And in the picture, you can see that I haven't posted the homepage of OpenStax, but I have posted the statistics. What it says, $1.2 billion saved in education cost since 2012. So they have done some research, some studies, some surveys, and figured out how much money they could save using OERs and not using the traditional type of course materials. 4 million students from 120 countries use OpenStax. So it is that popular. Already in 120 countries, universities and higher education institutes have started using OpenStax. 60% of higher education institutes in US use OpenStax, and 4,000 K-12 schools use OpenStax. So they also have started putting in texts for and other course material for, I think, high schools, not the elementary schools, but high schools. But they have a plan, you know, to increase their scope, and in future they might have lots and lots of other material available on their website. Open Textbook Library is another one. I saw this one in Dr. Yagnik's list too. So probably they have identified some economics related textbooks from this website, from this repository. This is very useful too. It says it has about 969 open textbooks on this website. Before a month or two, when I saw this one, they had 806, and now it has gone up to 969. Okay, Milne Open Textbooks is another website. It's developed by State University of New York. BC Campus, this is also a very good repository. This is the initiative in Canada. Teaching Commons, of course, it has a very high quality open educational resources from leading colleges and universities, and make them available to educators and students around the world. This is a very good website too. Khan Academy, of course, for school level students, and of course, it includes resources for college level students too. OpenCourseWare. Merlot is another one. It's called Multimedia Education Resource for Learning and Online Teaching. It provides access to curated online learning and support materials and content creation tools. So these were some, some important initiatives that I thought I should share with you, but there are so many others, numerous initiatives around the world. Open Education Consortium is another one. Directory of Open Access Books, of course. Then at a state or at the city level, Houston Area Open Educational Resource Consortium. There are many activities, as I mentioned earlier, happening in Houston, in Texas, and this consortium is one of those. Open Education Network, then SPARC, Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resource Coalition. Open Educational Resources Grant Program. This I wanted to say something, in a briefly, that this is the initiative by Texas Higher Education Board, THECB, and they have started to encourage people to implement and develop OER. They have started this grant program, and this is the second cycle. of the grant program, and our university has received a great amount of grant, 5 implementation and 5 developmental grants from THECB for this cycle. And they have a very nicely laid out framework for how to develop or implement OERs. They also provide technical support. There are some organizations who are technically sound. So they are providing free of cost technical support to those who are willing to develop or implement their grant, the grant and the OER. So, and Texas Learn OER is another initiative that I wanted to mention. Is about it's a course. It's a 10 module course, self-paced course. You can do it and you can increase your knowledge about OER. It gives everything in a nutshell. And developing this kind of courses, OER courses, is a challenge. But this is a nice example of how we can develop this kind of OER material. Now, after discussing about the international or worldwide initiatives, let's focus a bit on the initiatives in India. To my surprise, India, there are a lot of initiatives in India too. A lot of efforts going on. National Knowledge Commission, UGC, National Association for Software and Services Companies, and plus MHRD and Government of India, and even IITs and other organizations, they all are trying to promote OER in India. One of the notable initiative was by MHRD. It was called OER Initiative Receiving National Mission on Education through ICT, supporting, and it was developed during the 11th and 12th 5-year plan period. Another one, it's called OER Initiatives in India, Digital Commons. I've given the website here. OER for K to 12 in India. That's another very useful initiative for school-related OERs. National Repository of Education, Open Educational Resources, MHRD initiative, or Digital Library of India, a collaborative project of 21 institutions, or National Digital Library, IIT Kharagpur initiative. Of course, we all know about NCERT textbooks. National Program on Technology Advanced Learning, NPTEL, it's the Government of India initiative. Then Sakshat is MHRD initiative. National Institute of Open Schooling, which is also an MHRD initiative, and it's for school level OERs. EPG Pathshala, MHRD initiative for postgraduate programs. Open Educational Resources for Schools, another joint initiative of, this is a very good example of different organizations collaborating, with the government, non-profit, everything. And it's, this is the initiative of Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, and Indian Consortium for Educational Transformation. So I think it's a good example to learn. We can adapt this kind of frameworks for state of Gujarat. Curriculum for Educational Communication, CEC. It's a UGC initiative. Then we have IGNU, Gyan Kosh. It's a national digital repository. We have Eklavya initiative by IIT Bombay. Shodh Ganga, a digital repository of Indian thesis and dissertation. It's by InflibNet. Project OSCAR, open source courseware animation repository. Virtual learning environment, University of Delhi initiative. And there are 2 more state initiatives, Karnataka Open Educational Resources and Tamil Nadu Textbook Online. So I think I didn't find much on what's going on in the state of Gujarat, but there are other states who are actually into this and promoting OERs in their states. Now, these are all about if you want to find OER and use for your purpose, for your requirement. But some of you would be also interested in developing OERs. So for them, I have tried to compile some of the tools. Of course, the one popular one, which is we are using and promoting with our faculty, is the OER Commons Open Author. But there are so many others that are available. And just keep in mind that if you develop your own material, don't forget to choose a license for your work. You have to choose a license and make the permissions explicitly known for the users, and that's how you make it an OER. So yes, I think it's 11:35. Okay, so that's it. But this has also, created some, say, some situations where we would think that what is the way forward from here? We have so much available. We can easily adapt them for our courses. We can also develop them. But what could be the way ahead from here? So to make OER truly culturally relevant, inclusive, and representative for our state of Gujarat, what we should do, I would suggest we should, the librarians, by we, I mean the librarians should advocate at local, state, and national levels. Implementation and adaptation of OER at local level, if possible, adoption in Gujarati. So we have so much available in different languages. We can just translate them to Gujarati language, and we can make them, usable for our students in vernacular language schools. We can, of course, develop OERs as experts, but for development of OER brings a lot of different kind of challenges. We need to have the librarian teacher or librarian faculty partnership. We are not the experts for all these subjects, so we might have to collaborate with other people, other faculty, teachers. Students' involvement. The project that we are currently into, like the grants that we have received and we are developing and implementing OERs, we have the students on in our groups to evaluate our OERs. Whatever our faculty develops, before it goes to the repository, we test them with our students. So some of the students are identified and they go through our material and they give us the feedback, whether this is okay, this is not okay, they could understand this, they couldn't understand this. So that way we can evaluate our own creation. Of course, we need support from the government and higher education institutes or higher education departments or ministry for creating policies and defining parameters or providing guidelines. Financial support is another thing that we would require in long run. Initially, we can develop a few material and, suppose I develop something up, I develop a textbook or something in Gujarati, or I translate something in Gujarati, but to put it on certain platform or add it to some repository or to develop a repository at our state level, we need some financial support. We will need some technical support. We will also have to build the capacity of our teachers, our librarians, our other professionals. Those are the challenges ahead in time. Set up a state level platform to facilitate creation and sharing of OER. This is something I would recommend that we should try and advocate for at our state level. Collaboration with government bodies, nonprofit, and other organizations for creation and hosting OERs. And the model that today we do not have that much time that I can go and explain the model that we have here in Texas. But this is the link that I'm providing, that you can go to this link and you can see the framework. Let me show you if I have something in very brief. Okay, this is the Oertx repository. And these are all the search options. You can put your search term here. You can choose the subjects from here, education level that you're looking for, or course inventories or whatever. And if you click search, it will show you the search results. But I would also want to show you something else. For THECV, we have created hubs like this. If you click on any of these, you can create your own login and you can be a part of the hubs, or you can be the part of the groups. A lot of people who are interested in developing OERs, they are part of this group, they interact with each other. So this is the online platform for them. if you want to learn more about Oertx, they have given information here. I wanted to also show the help center that they have developed. So developing OER is not just one person's job. This is what I want to tell you. I can develop a, a presentation and put it on my portal, put it on my website, or on my personal website or institutional website or whatever. But to have a portal like this is it requires a collaborative effort. And this gives information on how to get started, how to create the content, how to remix the content, what are the different groups available, user profiles that you can create. Okay, now for online learning management systems, this also has that OER can be included in Moodle or included in Blackboard, different LMS systems. So you can include this in your institutional LMS, and students can directly use this repository and search for OERs. Then also how to find content, submit your content on the repository, and it gets included. It gets reviewed first and then gets included in the repository. And how to evaluate or leave comment. If you want to evaluate somebody else's creation, you can leave comment and other things. So this is the kind of portal that is developed at the state level. And if you want to know about the grant and the entire framework, if somebody wants to take up that initiative for the state of Gujarat, here you can find the entire framework, how they have developed this is the second phase of the grants program. And they have like 2 years span, starting from announcing the grant program to finally include that particular OER into the repository. They have given 1.5 to 2 years period to the organizations. And in that, they have included everything. They have given the entire timeline of when to give this report, that report, how to test it, how to, one semester they have to use those developed resources with their own students, find out, evaluate that, find out the problems, then work on those issues, then again evaluate that, and then you send it for the repository. So they have the entire timeline here. So that's a good example to follow. And yeah, I think with that, I would like to end my presentation. I hope this has given you a broad idea of what OER and what it really demands from us in the form of how much effort will we have to put in, or what all things, and how to evaluate, how to collaborate, all those things. I think the initial thing is to start with finding and implementing OERs into our courses, and then we can move on gradually to developing OERs, and that will, that phase will really have to be designed properly. And yeah, so
thank you so much, Shweta, for such an excellent presentation. You showed us how many billions of dollars can be saved, how many thousands of students we can reach, and also the course mentioned by you, the Texas University course. It's free, and a certificate also is given. Thank you so much.
And a few questions are
my pleasure.
Yes, we can now meet up. Please see if we can. Shweta, is it okay if we take a few questions?
Yeah, of course. Yes, please go ahead.
Meet up, please go ahead.
Before going with that, Bhakti, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Bhakti,
I'm there. But
Yeah.
I think it's, is it okay? Because Shweta is also getting very late. So
No, it's
maybe
okay,
we can.
Bhakti.
It's okay with me, Bhakti. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bhakti.
So it's a small announcement that I wanted to make along with ADINET. So I'll just share my screen for a second if it's okay with everybody.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so actually we are at Assist South Asia. We are kind of planning to launch.
No, Bhakti, your screen, there's nothing coming on your screen.
It's
blank,
not there?
it's a blank screen.
Blank screen.
Okay, so fine, then I will just talk about it and I'll just give it one more go if it works, or otherwise. Has it started?
Yes.
Okay, so at Assist South Asia, we have actually hosted a international digital story writing competition. And the reason I have taken just 1 minute today is to just announce this competition to everybody. With ADINET, SIG school libraries, we are planning to host webinars to promote this competition. But I would like to just take a minute to bring this to your notice that this competition registration has begun. The competition is meant for school students. As you can see on the screen, the theme of the competition is AI and health and COVID-19. The story competition is going to be for students from 5 to 18. It's completely free. It's a global competition for students from all over the world. And we have special prizes for students from the South Asia region. And before the competition, which is scheduled somewhere in April 22, we are hosting 20 free workshops to teach students how to actually write a digital story. So I would like to take this opportunity to take help from all of you to promote information about this competition and also spread the word around. The details are on the website. I'm going to be sharing the link of this in the chat box right away, so that all of you can go through it. The links for the registrations are already open. As you can see on the screen, the competition groups have been already set over there, and the titles of all the workshops are there. Celebrated authors and painters and artists from India, Bangladesh, Hong Kong, they're all joining in. So it's going to be a big one. And I really would like that everybody from India also takes part in this and we get maximum benefit out of it. So thank you so much for giving me this chance, Rhoda ma'am and Shweta. And we'll be keeping a webinar for this on 11th December, for which the information will be shortly released. Thank you so much. I will just be pasting the link in the chat box right away. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhakti.
Thank you, Bhakti. Now, Shweta, do you have time? Can we take few questions?
Yes, sure.
Anna?
We started late, so yes, I have no excuse.
See, the questions are already there on the chat box. Like first question is by Ishika Dubey. Like, what are the prerequisites in developing a OER consortium by a group of colleges?
It's a very broad question. I would say, first people will have to open-mindedly and with all your skills and interests, you'll have to first find out few people who are really interested in it, because this is a long-term commitment. It's not like I develop one OER and then get myself excluded from the consortium. So it has similar situation like we have other consortiums. Okay, like we have resource sharing consortium, so where we gather together, a few institutions, then we develop a guideline for sharing our resources, and then we stick to it. We collaborate with each other. So for the grant that was announced by THECB, they had one condition that for development of grant, one university cannot develop, or one faculty from one university cannot develop the grant. They have to collaborate with another organization. So there has to be at least two collaborators, one faculty from one university, another faculty from another university or another college, and they have to. So we have to first figure out based on our requirements. I don't know how that would be in the scenario of state of Gujarat. But if you want, I can help you find out certain guidelines that some of the consortium have. They would be available online, because see, anything that is related to OER is also OER. If it's a grant, if it's any discussion, if you go to UNESCO's websites, all the discussions are also openly put up over there. Guidelines are available from UNESCO also. So you can go through those guidelines and I would say first we have to acquaint ourselves with the OER. It's not just developing one presentation or one textbook and then we are done. It's a continuous process. And if we have a consortium, then we have to have the continued interest in helping each other in developing things, and then keeping in mind our students, because the requirement varies from school level to college level to PG level to doctoral level. And I think there are no set prerequisites for that, but I would say for any organization, we can have our own guidelines and policies accordingly. For any consortium, we need to have our own guidelines and policies depending on our resources available, our technical support available, our financial support available, our governmental support available. We have to consider all other factors.
Yes, you're right, Shweta. Yeah, can you please put on your video, Shweta?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's one more question by Mr. Mohan Kumar. Like, Madam, how to create the OERs for library information science? If any steps for the same? And any Indian initiatives to be taken by the HEIS during COVID-19?
Yeah, it's the same. Library science is a course like any other course. It's a physics, chemistry, economics, management. So development of OER would be same. You will have to use any of the open, like as I said, we use open author for that. You can use any of the tool. But what do you do after developing that OER is also my question. Are you going to put it up on your university's repository, or you are going to request it to get added to any other repository, existing repository? Or I would also say it's not just the development of OER, but you will have to do meta tagging for those so that it becomes searchable. You will have to decide what licensing you want to give, what kind of permissions you want to give. So first you have to acquaint yourself with all that stuff, be expert in that, and then you develop something, because of course accessibility is another great issue. If I just develop something in Word document or PDF document, will that be accessible to all the students? So we need technical support for this. Not just bas mari રીતે type કરી નાખું અને આખી textbook લખી નાખું, but will that be a sufficient effort? I would say no. You need a lot of other things, other factors to consider for that. So yes, development would be the same as other subjects, but the same thing. આપણી પાસે એવી repository છે કે જેમાં આપણે એને add કરાવી શકીએ. સ્કૂલની repository છે, સ્ટેટની repository છે, કે કોઈ આપણા educational institute repository available છે જેમાં તમે એને add. If it is not in English, if it is in Gujarati or in any other language, which repository you will get it added to? એની પર meta tagging કેવી રીતે કરશો? કોણ કરશે એ બધું? તમને technical support છે એના માટે? See, the faculty that are developing question banks and textbooks at our university, they are getting technical support from the Texas Digital Library. They are experts in technical issues. એ લોકો free of cost help કરે છે, and it's a collaboration. And then our faculty is developing the content, and they are helping us in converting everything into the format that they want, or which is consistent with other documents that they have in their repository. એટલે એ બધા ફેક્ટરને ધ્યાનમાં લઈને આપણે કન્ટેન્ટ ડેવલપ કરી શકીએ. સો એના માટે મને લાગે છે કે કન્ટેન્ટ ડેવલપ કરીને એક રિપોઝિટરીમાં જાય એના ઘણા બધા સ્ટેપ્સ છે. So we have to first be acquainted with all those.
Yeah, you're right, Shweta. And there's one more question by Dr. Ashmi Kumar. She's asking the same question, like whether you have collaborated with the faculty of your university to create OERs, say like for a course on information literacy. And secondly, how do you advocate OERs to your user community, especially the graduate students?
Okay, great. Thanks, Lakshmi, for asking this. I can brag about myself now. So no, of course, I am the part of the OER committee at our university. I'm not doing anything for the information literacy. We are currently focusing on our math subjects, economics subjects, history. These are the subjects where our faculties have come forward that they want to put in more effort. So they want to give their time to develop OERs. And of course, we are getting technical support from other technical institutions identified by THECB, Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. The most important thing for to consider is that this is a state level initiative that THECB has taken, and they have taken the lead. They have prepared all the guidelines, they have identified the organizations, and then they are giving financial support to our faculty to develop OER material. My part is more of the advocacy in my organization, and I find all the information for them. I get them information about OER material that are relevant to their courses that they can use. One faculty member is developing data banks, question bank. So for that, he might need a lot of resources in that particular subject that he would be using that, and then will develop OERs. Now we have to actually, scrutiny or evaluate those resources, whether they have given the permissions to use those material in any further thing, whether for reuse or for remixing or for anything. So first evaluating those resources, and then making the faculty aware about you can use these resources for your question banks, and they can read those things, they can develop their questions. And of course, the entire technical support is by another institution. So how to actually, so they will develop the questions and the answers, but actually converting that into the digital format is the another organization's job. This is how we collaborate, in the organization and inter-organization. Okay, now in our organization, what we do, we have incentives for faculty who adapt OER textbooks, who adapt. So one level is the textbook level. If they have OER textbook for their course, and if they redesign their course according to that textbook, that is one level. And the second level is the entire course is OER. So where students don't have to pay anything for that course, be it the textbook or any other course material. Okay, any other article, any other whatever, sometimes they have to pay for some packages and copying certain documents and whatever. Students don't have to pay even a single penny for that course. That course is called OER course. And we recognize these faculty in our newsletters. I'm also the newsletter committee chairperson, and the editor of the newsletter. So we announce these things in our newsletters. We announce their names in the newsletters. So that's kind of the incentive for them. And of course, those who are involved in OER grants, they get the money too. So financial support also. So these are some of the, efforts that are going on at our university currently.
Yeah, you're right. Like maybe in US, you are getting lots of financial support also for creating this OER. Maybe that is not the scenario with India, I think. Anyway, let's move further. This Madhuri Kumari is asking, is there any authority to check the authenticity of content created as OER?
Yeah, I think I included that in my presentation. There are 3 checklists and rubrics that I shared. You can click on those links. And if you want, I can show you those things again. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, how to evaluate OERs. And there are some, and they also give you the checklist. So whether you can check in terms of clarity, comprehensibility, readability, content accuracy, technical accuracy, adaptability, appropriateness, accessibility, and you put your check mark on those. You evaluate the content according to the checklist, and the OER that gets the most things checked in that list, you can kind of rely on those OERs, so you can adapt to those. But here are the examples. One is from the Affordable Learning Georgia. Another one is the Achieve OER rubrics. And the third one is the Digitex. So this is the one is from Texas. The third one is the comprehensive list, checklist that you can use to evaluate the OER and decide whether that OER is a good quality or not.
I think
and I saw that someone has also mentioned that whether I'm going to share this presentation.
PPT.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll remove all the images from the PPT and I'll just give the links in the PPT so that it will reduce the size of the file. And then I'll share it with ADINET so that it can go to everyone.
Barucha madam, please unmute yourself.
Is it okay for the person who has asked?
Pardon? That was Madhu. Yeah, somebody had asked. I don't know.
We will put it on our website and also on the YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yeah, but that would be the recording, ma'am. So probably people won't be able to click on those links. So what I'm suggesting is that I'll also provide you a PDF format of my presentation. Okay. So all the links will be clickable with all hyperlinks, so that you can share that one too through email or through WhatsApp or anything, because I know there are lots and lots of links in my presentation. So I'll share that one with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shweta, for such an informative session. And
my pleasure.
I'm sure participants must have learned through this presentation and will definitely impart their enhanced knowledge on OER to provide their user services to their clientele. And so with this, I think we shall move towards the vote of thanks. Also, on behalf of ADINET, heartfelt thanks to both the speakers, Shweta Shroff and Dr. Shailesh Yagnik, for taking out time from their busy schedule and enlightening the participants for through their wonderful presentation. Also, I would like to thank the participants for their active engagement and further extend our thanks to the technical team, Jatin and his team, for providing technical support for an online webinar on Zoom platform. With this, we conclude today's session, and ADINET will be back again with many more such programs for the benefits of LIS professionals. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Meeta.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you. All have a great day.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, Shweta. Good night to you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you, Jatin.
Gita Ben.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes,
Bye.
Gita. Yes, goodbye. And thank you, Jatin, also.
Okay. I'm ending the session.
Yes, please.
Yeah, fine.